Well, I'd like to say we had a strategy for it, but the reality was this was back in 2011 or so that one of our advisors in London introduced us to a very interesting company, originally in Dubai, and that's how we started. And we set up an office in Dubai, and from there things went on, and very quickly we found ourselves in Tehran. Oh, plenty. Where can we start? I mean, language, culture, everything. But I would say the biggest surprise for me was how different Iran is from what the Western stereotype might be. Personally, at least for me, I didn't know much about the country except their history and what I've seen from Western media. But I really didn't have a clear understanding about the culture and the people and their sort of characteristics. Iranians are extremely friendly, extremely hospitable, very intelligent, very well educated, and they really appreciate culture. So it's a very sophisticated society to go into, but also one society with very strict rules, which you have to learn because they are completely unexpected sometimes from a Western point of view. Well, for sure, language is an issue. I mean, we could not have survived without the Farsi speaker. So Kaveh joined us very early on and was a critical part of our Iran expansion. And later on, we added more people to the team. So that's one thing. However, it was surprisingly easy to get going. Iranian people are very eager to learn, and they really welcome Western people. So they are willing to listen. And very often, even though language was a problem, we would use interpreters or other ways of sort of doing things. So they were really trying to do their best to lower the hurdle and make us welcome and help us on our way. Well, the market is, of course, a huge market. Like Germany, it's 80 million people. It's a very industrialized. Compared to many of the neighboring countries, Iran is actually one with a heavy industry, and they also have a lot of SME companies. They're very entrepreneurial, very hardworking. So I would say that it has huge potential. Obviously, the current game with the US and the Middle East and all of that is causing some curveballs into the situation. But what we are seeing is that the economy is already on its way. I think a few years back, somebody asked me, is this a market to invest in? And I said, it depends on where you come from. I can see already that the Europeans, the Germans, Italians, French, they're very active there. But also the Southeast Asian countries are very active there, including China and Korea are also active. So what we see is a very dynamic economy, which is perhaps surprising to people who only follow Western media, and particularly if they follow US media.
Banking is not very sophisticated in Iran. So for sure, working capital and cash management can be an issue in Iran. On the other hand, since there is no proper banking connection between Iran and the outside world, although after the sanctions, it has been much more better compared to the sanction period. But still, since there is not very proper connection, especially those companies working for importing and exporting, they have serious problems in this sector. So that can be another issue. But in addition to that, the other issue that I really like to mention here is the succession planning. Many of large Iranian companies are owned by families. And the family member of the family is the one who's leading the company. And after a while, when he gets older, he needs definitely someone else to take over the company. And on the other hand, since these companies during the time become bigger and bigger, they also need a team of managers to manage the company, and normally they don't have it. So that is another serious issue, I would say not only in Iran, but also in some other countries as well.
From some perspectives, the economy has started again, and it has been growing over the several decades, and these companies have been created in that dynamic. And now they are facing a new competition from the Western companies or international companies entering. I mean, we already see a lot of the Asian companies, the Hyundai, Samsung, Toyota, Mazda, Huawei. So there is competition is increasing. So while these companies have competed domestically and this sort of patriarchal culture has dominated, now they need to change to a more international way of managing their ways.
So we can actually divide it to two sections, domestic and the export industry. For the domestic market, we can say that, as Per said, Iran is a huge country. And interestingly, the average age of Iranians is around 35 years old. So we can expect a huge demand in the consumer goods in the market. In addition to that, the quality of life is going higher. Therefore, there is also a huge demand for white goods, automotives, home appliances, and similar products in the market. On the other hand, when we look at the export industry, it totally depends on the political situations. But as Per said, West is not the only customer for Iran products. There are many interests in Southeast Asia, in the neighboring countries, and many other places. So I would say that, in my opinion, that U.S. sanctions and U.S. activities cannot totally control the economy.
Oh, I would fully agree. I think most people have a complete misunderstanding of the technological level of Iran, as well as what the cities and all of that are like. Iran is surprisingly developed. And in some sense, you might even say that these sanctions have been in their benefit because they've had to solve a lot of technical problems on their own. What you have to remember, there's a huge diaspora of Iranians as well, very highly educated. In most Western universities, the top students are Iranian, surprisingly enough. So it's a population of very well-educated people. They have technology, they have capability of doing, and it's also very wealthy in natural resources. So there are many good sort of intrinsic characteristics of the Iranian economy that makes it sort of resilient towards sanctions and other things. But obviously, it would be nicer if everybody would sort of collaborate and we would go back to the normal world order.
We found the Iran market very interesting. But at the same time, we believe that the media does not represent the opportunities of the market to the fullest. So that's the reason we thought it's good to share some of our ideas, opinions, and previous experiences about Iran with others.
Yeah, we already participated in a number of events. We've done some keynote speeches, and we're going to write some articles. I think the latest thing that you can find on our website is about the Iramat conference, which is a conference focusing on private equity and what private equity can do for the Iranian economy. Clearly a slightly controversial topic considering how Iran is ruled today, but certainly a very interesting one. And we hope that some of our sort of research can help to give a broader perspective on what the opportunities really are. So we look forward to that.